In this episode, I'm going to be showing you ways in which you are going to be less overwhelmed and more prepared when you do relocate and immigrate to your country of choice. So if you're thinking about relocating to a different country overseas, maybe Italy, maybe the Netherlands, maybe the UK, maybe New Zealand, Canada, the United States, I'm going to be sharing with you tips and steps that you can take the load of get into these countries or relocate to these countries without having to be too stressed or having to over prepare, but prepare in the right way. So if you're interested in learning how to go about this, give me 1 second. I'm gonna dash off to the market, do some business, so you guys already know what comes next. Let's get it. You know the way I do it when I drop lyrical. Anytime I spit lyrical, philosophical, all the niggas mimical, but they stare still on taking literal. Punchlines collateral, maximum damage. Hello, Chronicles. Hello, YouTube. How you all doing today? It's still your value-based King Fuse from FuseChronicles.com here again with another valuable video. Now, like I said in the introduction, in this episode, I'm going to be telling you guys ways and steps that you can be less overwhelmed by moving and relocating to a new country, to a new city, to a new environment. You know, starting from square one can be very daunting a task. So in this video, I'm going to tell you guys things to look out for. Now, I know many of you have heard it said in different circles that travel with as much money as possible, but I would tell you that this is totally wrong. Yes, you need some money in your bank account to be able to get a visa, particularly if you're going to this country for work or you're going to study. You need a lot of money in your account to prove or to have a proof of funds that's going to let the immigration, the high commission or embassy of that country you're going to in your country grant you a visa. But at that point, that's where that requirement ends. Now, instead of loading your bank account with so much money, I would recommend that you get a job in a different country that will pay you when you go to your country of choice. It could be remote work, it could be consultation work, it just depends on your qualification. Because money that is static in a bank account is always going to be depleted over time. So you're just going to keep withdrawing from that money till the money finishes. And at that point it becomes useless to you. I have friends who have relocated to different countries overseas, and even to get their accommodation, that's where the money went to. They had to pay for the accommodation, and when they finished paying for their house, they had little or no money to rely on or to fall back on to look after the family. So I would suggest that you look to companies, particularly those who are computer savvy. You can look to remote work like customer service jobs, like teaching jobs online, consultation jobs online. There are many companies that offer remote opportunities that will pay you in euros, pay you in pounds, and pay you in dollars. And you can even be doing this work from your home country, whether you are in Ghana, whether you're in Niger, in Chad, in Cote d'Ivoire, in Sierra Leone, whether you're in South Africa, wherever you are, even if it's Myanmar, whatever remote country in Asia or Africa you're traveling from, these companies are going to pay you in hard currency. And even when you relocate to your country of choice, you can still work these jobs, and this is going to be your ground zero before you get another viable means or form of employment in the country you're going to. So this is not going to make you get into this country where you're traveling to and be stressed and be overwhelmed, particularly if you're traveling with a partner and children. You already have the means to look after your family while going to a new country. If you're interested in learning about remote work opportunities, you can leave me a comment in the comment section or slide into my DMs on social media. I think our social media handle is somewhere up there. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, we're active on all three, so you can send me a message. Another thing that I see lots of people doing when they're preparing to travel overseas is buying lots and lots of food stuff, buying stockfish, red oil, gari, crayfish, and all this other meaningless type of junk that people tend to want to buy. I see someone say, don't worry about clothes, stack up with as much local food as possible. That is just bollocks, that's BS. Why? I've yet to see that country in the world where they do not sell African food, raw African food. And if it's too expensive in this country, because some of you might say, Fuse, it's too expensive, we can't buy it in this country. Okay, why don't you send the money to your brother, to your sister, to your aunt or your uncle, and they buy this food and they way bill it to you in whatever country you're in, instead of loading your bags with 25 liters of red oil and one bag of gari, one bag of rice, and all this kind of stuff that's just going to take up so much weight and so much space and have you paying more for extra weight. You don't need that. You don't need that. In fact, you don't even need to buy a shirt. In fact, if you ask me, just go with 2 extra pairs of clothing. So it means the one you're putting on and an extra pair for yourself, your wife, or your husband, and for your children as well. Because depending on the country you go into, if you go into the UK, you have Primark. Clothes are very cheap in Primark. If you're going to the US, you have Walmart. Clothes are very cheap in Walmart. So you don't need to stress yourself having to buy all these clothes, having to buy a lot of jackets. Oh, it's winter season, it's gonna be cold. No. Don't do that. Just go with as little clothes and as little luggage, as little weights and stuff as possible, because you don't want to be overwhelmed. You don't want to get to a place that you've never been to before and you're dragging your luggage. Oh my God, you don't want to do that. You want to get in seamlessly, fit into the society or to that town or city where you're going to, and then start to plan from there. Then there's something else that most people don't tell you about. If you have children that are below 5 years of age, they will have to stay at home for a year or 2. In fact, if you have children that are a year or 2 years old, they will have to stay at home for at least 3, 4, even 5 years, because in most countries, the recognized age that children can start going to school is 5, 6, and 7. So if you're planning to take your whole family, why don't you ask your mom or your dad whether they're interested in relocating as well, so you can relocate with them and have them stay home with your child or your children that are still underage while you go to school and your partner goes to work, or while you both go to work. Because sometimes I see it as not feasible when people say one of your partners can stay home and you can go to work, because you need all the money that you can earn. So you need both hands working. You need your husband and your wife working if both are going overseas for work. And if one is studying, you need the other person working. So if one is studying, you cannot have the other person who should be working staying home and looking after the baby or the children. So you can talk to an aunt, an uncle, a dad, or a mom, or an elder brother or elder sister who is interested in relocating overseas with you, and their job is to stay home with the kids. If you do go home without extra care, extra mom, dad, brother, sister, and you say, oh, maybe I have a 12-year-old son and he's going to stay home and look after his brother or his sister, this could be the single reason why you get deported. Because in countries like the United Kingdom, I'm talking about England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales, if they catch your children, underage children, staying home by themselves, they could take the children from you, or they could get you all deported. So this is something that you have to bear in mind. Then there's something else that most people never tell you about. If you're going overseas to study, and you are looking to take advantage of the post-work study period, or you're looking to change your resident status to become maybe a permanent resident, or to change your student visa to a work visa, you have to start doing it early. Don't wait till the last 3 months. Don't wait till the last 3 months, or the last 2 months, or the last month to start to change this process. You're going to find out that you might not be granted and your application might be denied because of the short notice. Okay? So you have to plan on time. Now, this last tip that's going to make it 5, this final tip is for people who are yet to relocate overseas, yet to relocate abroad. Now, before I tell you about this last point, I'm going to tell you a story about someone that I know. So she wanted to travel to the US. She was interested in going to the US, but the documentation that she needed to travel that was supposed to come from her husband, who is in the US already, is a US citizen, we came very late. And when the time reached for her to go for her US embassy appointment, a consular appointment, the document had not arrived yet, and she went in anyway. But she was going in to take permission. She was going in to tell them that, listen, my documents are not yet in. Please, can I postpone the date and take this interview at a later date? But what happened was God. So the hand of God came into the picture. And yes, God, I believe in God. God can make things happen that shouldn't happen, okay? And you're going to know why at the end of the story. So what happened was, when it got to her turn to sit down for the interview, they said, okay, where are your documents? I don't have any documents. She did not even have a piece of paper. I'm talking about she was empty. She was empty. She was just there with her daughter. No documents at all. So I said, where are your documents? So I don't have any documents. Oh, wow, really? But what are you doing here? But the beautiful thing was her daughter was outspoken. So her daughter kept asking, Mommy, who is this man? Why is he so white? Why is he so fair? Why are we so dark? So the daughter was just playing banter and stuff. And the man loved her daughter. He thought she was entertaining. And he started asking, what is your name? What school do you attend? And they just got talking and all, and he looked at the mother and said, what is the problem? Why don't you have a document? And she went on to explain to the man that, listen, my husband is a US citizen and he was supposed to send the documents, but I haven't received them yet. And the man pressed some buttons on the laptop, on the computer, and he found that truly her husband was a US citizen and he had been in the US for a long time, and just like that, they granted her visa. No question, no interview. In fact, they gave her more resource that she was going to use to get her hepatitis test done in Nigeria, tuberculosis test done, her medicals in Nigeria. They gave her a number that she could call for welfare in the US. This is the hand of God, and this can happen. Now, this is the reason why I keep telling people that send me emails that don't worry, if your heart is set on relocating to a foreign country, trust me, you are going to get there. But the intent of this video is to tell you what to do, to take the load off, and not to get overwhelmed when you do get there. Okay, so I hope this video was valuable. I hope it was meaningful to you guys out there. If it was, what did you do? Why don't you go to the subscription button, smash it, subscribe to your boy's channel, turn on the notification bell, like the video, and please, if you have family members or friends that are traveling overseas, share this video with them. In our next episode, I'm going to be telling you the easiest visa category that is going to see you relocating to Italy. And if you're interested in learning more about immigration policies that has changed, particularly for countries like the United States, why don't you click on that video that's going to pop up to my right, and it's going to take you to this content. And until the next one, I remain your value-based king, Fuse. I'll catch you all on the next cut. Bye-bye for now.